What's going on, Colts Nation? I'm Lawrence Owen, and with me as usual is Colts Loyalist, and today's special guest, Lucas Robbins. And today, we are going to be discussing specifically how can the Colts improve on an individual basis in 2021 to help the team. And before we get into it, obviously, you have to listen to my intro.
All right. So I guess now you understand what the plan was.
Absolutely. At Colts Law, we talk Indianapolis Colts football.
We're going to stick to what we know, fundamentals and technique, 1% better every day.
I appreciate everyone that's watching this live currently, and those of you that will be watching it later, after it's all said and done. You just don't have the time to watch it live, so you're going to catch it later, and I appreciate that. Don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, and tag that notification bell so that you are notified next time I, myself, Loyalist, or who knows, Lucas Robbins, when he goes live. Go check out his stuff, man. Lucas, so people, in case they don't know who you are, tell people a little bit about yourself and where they can find you.
Well, in case you guys don't know me, I am at Robbins Lucas on Twitter, and you can catch me a lot on there predominantly. But most notably, what I'm doing currently is a writer for thebluestable.com. So it's a brand new website for Colts fans to check out. Currently writing on a stat projection article as part of a long-running series I'm doing pre-2021 for every single position group. Right now I'm at tight end, and I'm very excited to talk about that one later on. But beyond that, I'm just loving life and loving talking Colts right now.
Awesome, man. I'm going to have to get one of your articles and share it on Twitter a couple times. Well, maybe not a couple times, maybe a couple articles each once. Guys, if you don't know, when I upload a video to YouTube, it's late. It's going to be late from here on out. Why? Because I am uploading my videos. Now, my lives are still here on YouTube, but my uploads will be on Newsbreak the day before I upload to YouTube. Why is that? They pay me too. So if you want to get the heads up, please check out Newsbreak and give me a follow. This video is sponsored by Newsbreak. Newsbreak is an app used over 1.5 billion times a month by people just like you to get local news via articles or videos by those who are focused on that specific area. People like myself. Just use the link in the description of this video to download it. Then search a city, state, or someone specific, like myself, Colts Law. Then make sure to follow them so you'll get all the news fresh as it comes out. Yeah, I did pretty good on that. It only took me 2 takes.
At least you're humble enough to say it only took 2.
Yeah, right? So I want to thank Alpha Wolf for being here way early, way early. Nomadic Brian digging in at his house. Malicious 101, Nano 505, and Chris Troger in here live. Thank you so much. So, as a team, we have discussed this, coaches stuff, how they need to do to get better, to prepare and things of that nature. Now, what this is going to be about is basically what can players do, specific players do individually to not only help themselves get better, but in doing so, in retrospect, helping the team as well. And I want to thank Loyalist because this was his idea. He brought up the topic, and he gave me 3 topic choices that he wanted to talk about, and I was like, that one. That sounds like a really good topic to discuss. All right, because I don't think very many people talk about that. And as Colts fans, I think that is a good conversation. So, Anthony Hurt says, thank you all for the streams. Appreciate you so much. So, since it was his topic, his choice. I'm giving that man the floor. He is front and center, not just on video, but, in the conversation as well. So, Loyalist, give me your kind of breakdown overall on things that, in general, players can do that, help make you think of this topic.
Yeah. Well, I was sitting there, what got me thinking about it was I was just sitting there thinking, we keep talking about what we expect, but I was asking myself, how are they going to get better? How are they going to improve on their pass, or on their the pass rush and stuff like that? So that's when I was like, okay, let me start looking into this. And I sort of come to the conclusion, like for players like Marlon Mack, Paris Campbell, who else did I have in there? Just the guys that we've either like Marvell Tell the third, guys that we lost or didn't have basically after quarter one of week 2. These guys, the biggest asset they're going to give us is just availability. Just, showing up, producing to the level that we know that they can. Even, like I said, everything they give us after week 1 is going to be all extra. It's all bonus. And I'm not sure about what you guys think, but I'm pretty sure Paris Campbell and Marvell Tell the third, I think that their extra is going to be pretty special this year.
Yeah, I think that, to throw in that list, Kimoko Toure is another name.
That's right.
That if he can stay healthy, be on the field, the more he's on the field, the more consistently he's on the field, the better he's going to get as it happens. Lucas, general thoughts?
Well, another one on that kind of aspect of availability is Eric Fisher. I mean, granted, he wasn't on the team last year, so it's not really an improvement from him last year to this year. But more so, if he can get healthy, especially early on, which I know that's going to be a big question mark to start the season. But once he's healthy, that alone will be a big improvement for this Colts team, especially with the backups that we currently have in Sam Tevi and also with Will Holden and Blackman or Davenport.
Davenport.
Yeah, sorry.
I called him Edelman last episode.
It happens. It happens.
I do stuff like that all the time.
Yeah, but beyond that, another thing that I can see as a big improvement for this team is big plays. Now, that can be a bit shocking considering that the Colts were number 2 in the NFL in big plays last year, according to Chris Ballard in his most recent interview with Pat McAfee.
I looked up the stats, did a video on it yesterday. They were, in fact, number 2 in big plays. Not only they were number 2 overall, they were number 2 in the run of 10 yards or more, and they were tied for 5th, I think, in the NFL or something like that in the pass, in 20 or more yard passes. So, wow.
And I'm saying that they can get even better because of who they have at quarterback right now is Carson Wentz. He has a 2.1 yards average yards per throw, bit higher than Philip Rivers did last year. He was at 8.8, Philip Rivers 6.7. And we already know how amazing the Colts are in after the catch production from their wide receivers. But if we get a little bit more bolder with our deeper shots, and if Carson Wentz especially can get his deep ball accuracy back to what he previously was, which just because he was attempting it a lot doesn't mean he was very accurate with it. And that was a big problem last year. But if he can get back to even close to that previous level of accuracy with these level of playmakers, both before and after the catch, we could have an even bigger improvement on our pass big plays, especially for guys like T.Y. Hilton, and maybe even start to see Michael Pittman Jr. start to get a little bit better at the deep ball, though that isn't exactly his strength. But, I mean, it would be very phenomenal to see him really well-rounded skill set through that. So, yeah, it's just a very, very interesting thing to see this explosive play improvement that the Colts could go for.
Yeah, because last year the explosive plays, in the passing game wasn't Phillip Rivers throwing it 25, 30 yards downfield. It was him dumping it off to guys on crossing routes 5, 10 yards away, and then them catching it and getting yak yards, and to his credit, he was able to deliver the ball in a timely manner on target for those guys to make those yak yards. So credit to Phillip Rivers and his ability to do that. But as you said, he just didn't have the arm to deliver it 30, 40, 50 yards downfield. You know, I mean, that was pretty darn evident when he had to put everything he had into it, and it was a rainbow for a 50-yard throw in the Bills game, right? Where Carson Wentz could do that flat-footed.
But another nice thing is if that does happen, if the pass game does start getting more big plays, that's going to snowball into the run game getting more big plays because the defenses are going to have to respect the outer perimeter a little bit more, which is going to lighten that load in the box. And then we got a few guys that might have something to say about that.
Another fact that I haven't brought up yet that I went and looked at and I was shocked. Did you know that Jonathan Taylor had more 8-man plus boxes last year percentage-wise than Derek frickin' Henry?
I did not know that, but I did know that he was very high up on that list.
Yeah, I mean, that's
wow.
Yeah, he had more 8-man boxes percentage-wise per snap than Derek Henry had. He was over 28% of his carries were against 8-man boxes. Holy cow. Yeah.
Now, that's a testament to both him and the offensive line right there for especially that success in the back end of the season. That is phenomenal.
And to Loyalist point, Carson Wentz able to be a little bit more of a threat throwing it downfield. You're going to see a lot less of those 8-man boxes, which means bigger runs. All right, so we have discussed health. It's obvious, right? I mean, to Eric Fisher's point that you was talking about earlier, Lucas, I want to make sure he's 100% healthy and ready to go before he I don't want him to rush it to be like, well, I got to be on the field to help out because Tevy's not doing well or Davenport's not doing well or whatnot, you know. No. I want him to be 100% healthy because I don't want that even that percentage chance to be up any higher than normal for a re-injury, right? I'm sure Loyalist feels the exact same way, right? I mean,
Fisher's I'd much rather have Fisher during the playoffs than I would during week 2 or 3.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we discussed that. We discussed the health of Paris Campbell, Marlon Mack, and Tell coming back, and Fisher, and obviously Kimoko Toure, because it seems like when he gets on a roll it seems like every time he plays, it takes him about 5 games to get in a rhythm. In 2019, that's when his rhythm hit Game 6 against the Kansas City Chiefs, right? And he showed it. He showed it in Game 4, but he showed it more so in I think it was Game 5. And then last year, he started off slow as the game started getting on, Week 17, and then the wild card game, he started to show it again. Now, a lot of people don't see that because they see, Jonathan Taylor busting out 253 yards or, the aerial assault that Buffalo was doing. But, yes, Kimoko Toure played well in his final 2 games last year, and then he had to have his, cleanup surgery. But, yeah, stay healthy, stay consistent. The best ability is availability. Now, let's get into some of these guys that haven't been injured, that have high upside. How can these high upside guys who haven't reached their potential have a shot at getting to that potential? Anyone? Loyalist, yeah.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I think there's another subgroup to that, and that's a lot of our rookies. And as we were discussing earlier, just getting more consistency. I mean, the rookie year, they're coming in, they're learning the playbook, they're going through the COVID protocols on a daily basis. This year, things are going to be more stable for them. They'll have all the playbook that they already learned last year, so this year is more about honing it and stuff. But like I said, I just think, like Lucas had mentioned, it's just going to elevate their consistency. So, we're talking about Jonathan Taylor. Yes, he had, the first of the half of the year, he was sort of slow on the uptick, but by the second half, I mean, there was nobody staying up with him. Maybe Derrick Henry, but stat wise, there wasn't really anybody staying up with him. And you can sort of say that also about Michael Pittman Jr. He started off slow, had the injury right when things started seemingly ramping up, but then it took 3 weeks for him to get back to play, but it seemed like that first game back he was still a little questioning or sluggish or whatever you want to label that as. And then in a reverse scenario, we had Julian Blackmon. He came out like his hair was on fire, and he was just making plays, closing out games with interceptions. But then he sort of tapered off. And part of me is wondering, is that due to the fatigue of the leg, or did he have some other, how they get injured and you don't really hear a lot about it and stuff. Like I said, these three guys, Blackmon, Michael Pittman Jr., and Jonathan Taylor, I really feel like if they can just get that more consistent time, year two in it, I think that we're going to see a real nice leap in these guys. I mean, they're not going to be at their apex, but I think year two is, especially for MPJ, I think he's going to come out and really open some people in this league's eyes.
Lucas, thoughts?
Absolutely. I believe, like to Loyalist's point, I believe in MPJ's ability to really take another leap forward. I already did a projection article on wide receivers this past week, and I have him getting a little bit better. It's just I have his usage kind of staying kind of in the same realm, so it doesn't translate so much in the big leap into the alpha receiver that everyone wants him to be in year two, which I don't see that quite being there yet. But I do see specifically with him, he needs to improve on red zone efficiency, as the guy is a enormous threat, but he only got 1 touchdown last year. And to his credit, it was more so because he was used in a short yardage role rather than the box out kind of role that we all were kind of expecting him to be, which was really surprising, but it worked out phenomenally. And another thing is to really round out his game, being a little bit more productive on the deep ball. Like it was never really his strength in college. He was solid at it, but it wasn't his highlight of his college profile. That was more so the intermediate routes. But if he can unlock both red zone and deep ball productivity, he becomes a absolutely complete receiver, and that would be phenomenal to watch. Beyond that, another guy who I'm really hoping to see this big improvement is Alley Cox. Now, I am expecting big things from Alley Cox this year, especially with the addition of Wentz, who loves to target the tight end more than almost any other quarterback in the NFL. And I think Alley Cox, especially in the red zone, will be a favorite target of Wentz. So, though personally, what he can do to improve is also in that deep ball route running, because there are times where he just seems a little out of place in the deeper aspect of it. In the deep ball, he admitted to himself, hey, I'm not used to running these routes. He's more used to the short yardage guy and kind of boxing out and getting out for that. And I remember one time in that big explosive game that he had in week 2 versus the Vikings, he had this crazy big ball with no one around him, and he had no idea what to do with himself. He admitted to himself, he's like, I'm not used to having this much space. So, of course, if he gets a little bit more familiar with some of those intermediate and deep route concepts, it just opens up a whole new aspect, and Carson Wentz will hopefully take advantage of those available targets to him.
I want to get into a little bit back because I skipped over something that had to do with the injury thing. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, as Colts fans, we are used, and it sucks, but we're used to our wide receivers getting hurt. I mean, year in, year out, we have 2 or 3 wide receivers that are hurt on a consistent basis. It sucks. I want to see these guys start learning, you know what? When a safety's coming downhill and you're pretty sure you're getting tackled, go down. Get out of bounds. Save yourself. Don't risk an injury, all right? Well, Paris Campbell, he seen that safety coming across. Instead of stopping and trying to do a cutback, had he just walked out of bounds at that point, that knee would have never got hurt, right? But, he was trying to make a big play. And I understand that that instinct is there. But when you're looking at guys like, T.Y. Hilton is used to going, you see him catch a ball and they get, he's not taking that big hit. He goes down. Best receiver in Colts history, in my opinion, Marvin Harrison, always went down. Always. Went out of bounds, went down, never took the big hit, ever. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, obviously, guys like Reggie Wayne, he kind of pick and chose, right? Some of the smaller cornerbacks, sometimes he'll try to power through, and some of the safeties that are coming downhill, he'd be like, nope, I'm going down. But guys like, obviously, Michael Pittman or Zach Pascal, these are big-body dudes that, are used to taking the punishment. If you want to try that, go ahead. But the Colts are loaded with smaller, quick receivers, right? And getting hit by someone coming downhill when you're running 4.3, 4.35 across the field, that increases that chance of injury so much. So, keep it in the back of your head that, in my personal, in this content producer's opinion, just remember, go down when you need to go down. Don't try to be a superhero. It's just like Carson Wentz. You ain't got to do everything on one play, right? You catch the football, that's already a plus. That's already positive yards. If you move the sticks, you move the sticks. That's fine. I get you want the touchdown, but I'd rather be able to have you on the next play.
Yeah, and that just seems to be a theme for us. I mean, we've been saying this since Andrew left. Remember, everybody was like, Andrew, I understand you can make these plays, but go down and just live to fight another day. And that, and I think that's sort of, what you get whenever you start getting these high character guys that are willing to put it all on the line. And like you said, though, if they could find that little switch in their head, say, okay, risk reward, down.
So go ahead.
Yeah, I can definitely see that is a little bit into the kind of mentality that the Colts are scouting in their guys. They want those guys who are willing to put it all on the line on every single play. But at the same time, there also has to be a little bit of a change in mentality at times where, hey, like Loyalist said, you got to be like Reggie Wayne. You pick and choose your battles depending on your size and skill set. And it's a little bit of mixture of field awareness of who is coming at you and whether or not to take and choose that. But another thing is, it's also a mentality of these players. I mean, like we were saying earlier, we were second in the league in big plays because of that kind of mentality of, hey, I want to make this guy miss. I'm not going to step out of bounds. I'm going to try and make this big play and get all this yards after catch. Or power it through with Jonathan Taylor, though I'm not. He has enough size that he can get away with it. Let's be honest. If he wants to run over a guy, 9 out of 10 times he's going to run over that guy with that size.
Yeah, but he was known for running. He was known for running over people every time. So, and he's never been hurt. And he's doing that in college. 300 carries a season, never got hurt. That's just an impressive.
He is what we'd call the exception to the rule.
Right,
I'd say.
Right.
But for
I was sitting there thinking about what you were saying with Alley Cox, and you were talking about field awareness. Like when he came down with the ball, it took that hesitation, and he didn't have his momentum. I was thinking back. Do you remember MPJ's only touchdown? Mm-hmm. It was that crossing route, and you see Alley Cox is in front of him, but he looks like he's a little undecided on which guy to block and stuff. Now this was, I'm sorry, the game before MPJ when he was Tennessee Titans. It was almost the same play that the following week he had with the Packers. The Titans, he looked undecided and didn't know, which guy to block. The guy, he just sort of shielded him. The guy ended up stopping him like on the 11-yard line. But then the following week, Alley Cox finds himself in the almost same exact part of the field, everything. The difference is he learned from the week before. So I think a lot of that field awareness, my long-winded point is, I think a lot of that field awareness and stuff that Alley Cox, he didn't play football. He came to us raw. So he doesn't have these life experiences that a lot of these guys that have been playing since, junior football leagues and stuff like that. So I think that that's a very good way to put it with Alley Cox, is I do think that just through his experience and stuff, and he is a quick learner, I think that that's that is exactly what's going to be his solution. It's just an opportunity. He's going to have more opportunities this year because he's not going to have to sit into protection as much, and he's going to have, more opportunities just because, like you said, I think Carson Wentz is going to allow him those.
All right, before we get on to the next point of this conversation, I want to thank you, Toxic Tommy, adding the guys that are sitting here in the chat. LA Rams, what's up? Marquis Beverly. Eli over here. Looks like we got some Lucas fans. What's up, everybody? Joe Schmidt, appreciate you being here. All right. So, if you're here, please smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, tag that notification bell so that you're notified next time I go live. And don't forget, use the links in the description, right? There's the link to my news break where you can find all of my stuff. Link to my Patreon, only $5 a month. I'm still got it going, right? My merch shop. A link to the super chat that I'd rather you use than YouTube's. Please. And also my merch shop. Make sure to check out the Colts Law merch shop. The link is in the description of this video. There are a ton of high quality, reasonably priced items there that you can choose from. And all you got to do is just click one button and you can go and check out all these great merchandise items. Now, I'm going to be fair. I chose that perfect time to use that little ad video for my merch shop because I wanted to take a drink of my soda, which is a green Mountain Dew. And every time I do it, I get, yay. So, yeah, I just completely, utterly ruined that whole situation. But the whole reason for doing it. All right, so... On with the conversation, something else, and it's something that a few players are already doing, and that is working on their little nuances, their little specifics, the basic pieces of their games, like Carson Wentz getting with the quarterback's coach and working on his footing, working on his release, working on just the simple, basic things so that they are right. And he don't have to think about doing it while he's playing. It's just an instinct. And not just with Wentz. That happens with anybody. Jonathan Taylor. You noticed last year in the second half, it was because he was just reacting and not thinking, right? It's why he started making those bigger runs. Wide receivers are the same way. They'll see something out of the corner of their eye. Instead of thinking about it, they react to it and go. That is something that they have to work on. Now, generally, you don't work on that by yourself. You need some sort of coach to kind of identify the problem that you need to work on and then get you to just do it over and over and over and over and over. It's like you're practicing your karate or something, you just sit there and do the same punch like 5,000 times so that you know how to do it without even thinking about it. It just becomes a reaction. Wax on, wax off, right? So I can't wait because it works the same for the system. And Matt Eberflus has made that very evident in the presser that he had with us when I asked him about that, having guys in it another year in his system. And he was sitting there talking about, yes, having them in another year is a huge benefit because they already know the system. Now they can read and react faster rather than think about where they need to be in the zone. And, they can pay it. They'd be able to know who's going in and out of their zone without taking their eye off the quarterback, which allows for more plays on the defense. So that is something that I am really excited about. And the fact that we generally got everybody back, right? That's important that we wanted back, basically, especially on defense. Now, some people might have not wanted, obviously, I would like to keep one guy, which was Anthony Walker Jr., but can't keep everybody. can't keep everybody. But your thoughts on, we'll give it to Loyalist. My thought process on getting with coaches and working on those little things so you don't have to think about them.
Yeah, that's absolutely. I mean, it's sort of back to the Alley Cox. You want them to catch it and it just automatically progress down the field. You don't want them to sit there and have to process or scan the field. So, yeah, I agree completely. And like you said to the Carson Wentz, for me, if he gets his footwork straightened out and just get some of that timing back through, and this is the perfect time for those type of problems to be solved. I mean, yes, you want to be in practice, but they're still not hitting the quarterbacks then. So this is where you get your timing. This is where you get your rhythm and your footwork together. So like you said, all the work that Carson's put in this summer, I think is going to be, it's going to pay dividends to multiple players, not just himself and his performance, you know what I mean? And like you said, I think the receivers and just the time that they're spent, because I mean, you hear a lot about, especially like Michael Pittman Jr. And so, I mean, these guys are traveling all over the United States. They've been in Florida, they've been in Texas. I mean, hey,
they were in California.
Go ahead.
They were in California.
Yeah. So wherever it is you want to do it, I don't care. I just, as long as it's warm and nobody gets hurt. Yeah.
The benefit of throwing with receivers that you've never really thrown with before is, it's not necessarily route concepts. It's getting the speed of the individual receiver down. Mm-hmm. That is huge. That was a problem that Phillip Rivers had early on in the season, is he didn't have T.Y. speed as opposed to Michael Pittman's speed, as opposed to, Zach Pascal's speed. And, with him being an accuracy thrower, he had to have each person's route running speed down in order to make those big plays, and that's what you saw later on. Now with Carson Wentz doing all these, as you say, working with him so much in the offseason, you're absolutely right. It's going to play absolute huge dividends, because now they're going to go into training camp and already have a connection with that speed, where they can start working on not trying to get the speed down, but actual work on route concepts and stuff like that, and understanding the looks between each other. Where a wide receiver might have a route that has an option right in it, and he could just, they could work on that look, to where they know which of the option that they're going to go to because of the defense, what defense scheme is showing, things of that nature. So yes, that's just a little extra on top of what you were just discussing. Lucas?
Yeah, absolutely. You got to get that timing with every single individual receiver out there. And most notably, I think Carson Wentz has really learned this from his experiences with the Eagles, where we talk about Colts having injuries on the wide receivers. How about the Eagles wide receiver injuries? He had to throw to everyone straight off of the street to try and be his receiver over the last few years. And right now, what is he doing? He's trying to get familiar with every single receiver out there, most notably, as we've seen, rookie Michael Strahan. So I'm really excited to see if he can get timing with every single receiver, most notably, of course, the ones that are going to be starting. But should those injuries, like we said, pop up yet again, that is going to be very valuable that he's also gotten some timing with some of the deeper depth chart guys. Now, like we've been saying before, getting to interact with these coaches, getting to be more instinctual is what pretty much 99% of all of these players are trying to get. But there's one player who's on a little bit of a journey in the other direction, and that's Darius Leonard. Because Darius Leonard right now is taking over the play calling duties of the aforementioned Anthony Walker Jr., like you said. Mm-hmm. And he is now stepping into a role that he hasn't fully been in throughout his NFL career. He did dabble in it a little bit last year, but now he's going to be the guy who's going to be calling these plays. He might share it a little bit with Bobby Okereke, but it's going to be mainly his role. He's going to be the one who has to line everyone up, has to diagnose the play beforehand. And he has been known as a very instinctual guy, so he has to find that balance between knowing, being the strategist of the defense while on the field and before the snap, and then having to read and react post-snap. So it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be able to keep that balance. I'm a little bit concerned with that, but the Maniac has proven me, he has proven time and time again that I should not underrate him. And he's proven that to a lot of people. If you want to say that he is the worst pick in the draft, guess what? He's going to turn out to be one of the best picks in the draft. If you're going to say, oh, he's terrible in coverage, he's going to improve the next year and become an amazing guy in coverage, at least in 2019.
Yeah.
If you're going to say that he can't gain as much consistency in his turnover creation and that it's going to fall off with that, both that and his sacks, guess what? He's going to keep on going at it. So I honestly am not going to underrate him on that, but it's going to be very interesting to see how he adjusts his play style and how the Colts defense reacts to him as the defensive leader pre-snap rather than Anthony Walker Jr.
Okay. Any final thoughts before we get to the chat there, Loyalist?
Just two real quick thoughts is I think Darius, like you said, I think everything, I'm more concerned with Bobby Okereke and stopping the run. But I do agree. Like I said, I think Darius is going to be able to come in and the message he sent to the world is, if you're going to come here, be ready. Just that mentality. Be ready to work. Be ready to put your work at him. Made me think of Reggie Wayne when he drove in the first day of practice in the dump truck and stuff, But another thing I was thinking about with the receivers is, you sit there and you talk about the timing and stuff, and we've always said that this game is, in the NFL, the pros, the windows are so small for these receivers and stuff. And now imagine you're sitting there and you're throwing to a guy like Michael Strawn, who has a wingspan, like this. And then you've got T.Y. Hilton, who has a much smaller catch radius. I bet that's something that, that also is really going to be enhanced by, just getting, not that you can't visually see, but, whenever you're trying to lead the receiver and stuff, is this guy going to be able to extend to that spot? You know what I mean? And I just, like I said, I just think that dichotomy with the different types of receivers we have, it's just, that has to put a little extra, work on his plate, I imagine.
So there's a question that I've been dying to ask Frank Reich, but I've never had the opportunity, but I will have an opportunity sooner rather than later. That question, I'm just going to put it out here for you guys, is, he's had a different quarterback like every stinking year that he's been the coach, right? What's it going to be like if Carson Wentz is still here next year? Is that going to be a blessing for him? That he doesn't have to readjust his playbook to the quarterback that's there? That he'll actually be able to even more refine that playbook to, the styles of the quarterback and the players around him and stuff? So this year might be a one steady thing, but next year, if we still have, the same people and the same quarterback and stuff, oh my goodness. I could only imagine. He'll probably throw a party. All right, so guys, everybody that's in the, I got a few people here in the chat. If you have any questions or comments or just want to say something, drop it in there. We're going to get to the chat right now. I hope that my boys that are in here with me are looking at the chat themselves, because I don't have it up on StreamYard, and I should have, but I didn't. Let's see here, getting down through the chat. Troger says the season's going to be exciting, and yeah, I mean, have you seen the first 5 weeks of the schedule? That's an exciting all in its own. First 5 weeks is like a season for most teams. Anthony says, thank y'all for the streams. Appreciate that much. Troger says that there's a lot of breakout potential, and there is. It's weird how many, especially second round pick breakout potentials, right? That's just, you don't see that. You don't usually.
That's like when Ballard was on McAfee the other day, he was talking about how, he's like, I think we've got these players. And the awesome thing is even as Colts fans, there's so many of them. You just don't know which player is going to be the one that steps up and takes that mantle as a breakout that elevates their game to that top tier level type player. So I think that the excitement of having all these choices and knowing that some of them, if not all of them, but at least some of them are going to accomplish it, that's exhilarating.
Yep. All right. Hold on. Dropping that so we can get our names up there. Because, yeah, why not? For our The Love of the Game podcast. Welcome to the stream. Appreciate you being here. Salute. Let's see. I'm still looking through here. If Mack does very well, do y'all see the Colts bringing him back for another season after this year? Anthony Hurt asks. Lucas.
Well, that's going to be a very interesting decision for the Colts to make. I mean, they not only have to decide between Mack, they also have to decide between Hines and Jordan Wilkins. Every single running back who we expect to be on this 53-man roster, besides Jonathan Taylor, is going to be an unrestricted free agent next year. So, of the three, I'd say Mack is unfortunately the least likely to return just because he's going to want a bigger role than what the Colts probably will be able to provide. If he bounces back really well like we hope that he is in this scenario, then he definitely is going to feel like he can get a bigger role somewhere else. The Colts probably aren't going to be paying up for him, and his role intersects a little bit too much with what Jonathan Taylor has. And we have Jonathan Taylor on a rookie deal who is frankly a better player than Mack is at this point. But not to Mack's credit, he's still a very good running back when healthy. He just has to prove that he can bounce back this year. And I hope it happens. I hope he finds a great opportunity. However, I don't see it being with the Colts past 2021, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree, because I think the Colts, they would love to have him back. I think that, that they probably sort of treat it like, okay, look, this is what we can offer you. But like you said, I think that there's going to be enough running back needing teams that I can't imagine that the Colts are going to be able to offer that much money. I'd imagine that Marlon could probably go, like you said, get more playing time and also get more money, that the Colts just aren't in a position, nor should they be, to put that much of an investment into their running backs.
Yeah, I love Marlon Mack as much as anyone, if not more. I mean, you go look at my videos and my past podcasts. I am a huge Marlon Mack supporter. He's your I can do everything back, right? He could do anything you ask him to do. He could do it and do it well, all the way down to pass protection, right? But when you're looking at it in an organizational standpoint, the way the Colts have got set up, you got 5 or 6 premier guys that you're going to have to keep your team together. They're going to eat up the majority of your money. And then at that point, you're going to have to throw in cheaper rookie deals in order to keep that balanced out. And like you guys are saying, if Mack plays to his potential, like he played, let's say in 2019, broke 1,000 yards or something, he's gonna earn $5, $6, $7, $8 million a year, and the Colts just ain't gonna be able to afford that. Not when they got Hines there too. They might not be able to afford Hines as well. That would suck. Yeah. But it's a situation that the Colts will find themselves in shortly, because we've got a bunch of guys that are coming up with big contracts that are coming up very, very shortly.
Yeah, Marlon's going to be very similar to the Anthony Walker situation this year.
Yeah. Week 2, Troger says, Nelson, Donald. That's it. Now, I'm going to say, you probably will see that matchup a few times. But Donald just don't sit in that 3-tech, guys. He moves all over that D-line. And do you honestly think he's going to walk into this game going, I can't wait to play across Nelson the entire game? Or is he going to say, there's this guy Glowinski that's 2 spots down, looks that's the matchup that probably is going to happen, right?
Yeah. Well, and the thing is,
if you think of it from the Donald side,
I think Donald's like, yeah, I'll be across from him every play. I think McVay and the defensive coordinators are the one that are going to be like, no.
Yeah, I think we're going to see it for like a few series here or there, but we are not going to see it for the entire game. And that is unfortunate for basically, if anyone has seen Godzilla versus King Kong or any kaiju movie, you want to see let them fight. Right? Raheem Morris, line him up there for at least a series, maybe two. That's all I need so we can figure out who would win. Now, I don't expect that to happen. They're going to be trying to either stunt him towards the left and attack Tevi, Holden, Davenport, or they're going to be trying to go after him with Glowinski on the other side. That is the tried and true way to beat the Colts in the pass game. So I'm sure it's going to be there at least a few times here or there, and we're going to get some at least one highlight reel on either side where someone's going to knock someone else over potentially, and everyone's going to say, oh, it's official. This player, Quentin Nelson, is better than Aaron Donald or vice versa, even though you really shouldn't do that off of just one play. But it's going to be what happens. It's Twitter. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I think that – oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say the best chance to see those two guys together is like if Nelson and Kelly are double teaming and then he looks over to his left and he sees that Holden is getting manned by, and then you see him come over and blow him up. That is the more likely chance of seeing, I think, than actual lining up against them.
Yeah, because odds are, if Donald lines up at the 3 tech, he's going to get smashed down by Kelly and Nelson the whole time. The Colts ain't going to play with him. That's like, J.J. Watt. They didn't play with him. They put 2 guys out there on him all the time. And even then he was able to get through sometimes because it was back, when we had a terrible offensive line at the time. But still, you don't play with guys like Aaron Donald or J.J. Watt because they're game records, You
give them the respect they deserve, and you double as much as possible.
Absolutely. And even then, sometimes it just ain't going to work. Sometimes he's going to break because he's that kind of player. Yeah. Anthony Hurt says, do you all truly feel that Paris is going to step it up this year? And go look at my film room breakdown of Paris Campbell. I dropped it 2 months ago. Today's Paris Campbell's birthday. So I retweeted it out and was like, yo, for birthday, here we go. Let's watch this. Go check it out. Yes, I am a firm believer that Paris, if he stays healthy, and I think he's going to do everything he can to do so, I think he'll lead the Colts in receiving yards. I think he'll be the most dangerous receiver we have. Love what Michael Pittman can bring. I think Michael Pittman's an awesome receiver, and I think he can do a lot of stuff. But when it comes to big play potential, I think Paris Campbell has that wrapped around his finger right now for the Colts. Lucas.
I disagree on the fact that I think that Paris Campbell's going to lead the team in receiving yards. I do not see that happening, though. I see it more so as T.Y. kind of reclaims his role as the top dog in that receiving room and especially gets that deep ball back that we have been missing ever since Luck retired. I think T.Y. is going to still be that top receiver there, though. If Paris Campbell stays healthy, he is going to be the most dynamic playmaker from every single touch. On a per-touch basis, he's going to be the guy who's making people miss and running past people more than even T.Y. But T.Y. at least has the more deep ball familiarity and skill set that we haven't quite yet seen consistently from Paris yet. I really hope
T.Y.'s got that veteran savvy on his side.
Mm-hmm. So I could see Paris Campbell having his best year, and I could see him maybe even becoming the number 2, but I just don't see him as becoming the number 1 like some people feel he's going to be. And I also see that the Colts are going to spread the ball around so much that you really aren't going to have that true alpha of the unit. You're going to have maybe the guy who leads the team, but no one who's going to be like, wow, I need to put him in my fantasy lineup every single week.
Yeah, and I agree that Paris is going to do real good this year. But if you guys came here for clarity, I'm sorry, because I'm more in the camp of the Michael Pittman Jr. So 3 receivers, 3 choices. But no, either way, like I think we can all agree, because we've talked about it previously. But yeah, I do agree that the receivers, there's not going to be that one receiver that's got 1,500 yards and then everybody else sprinkling and then 6. I do think that it's going to be much more balanced. I think that is our greatest asset. And I think because of that, it's going to make everybody successful, because you can't clearly double team any one of those 3 guys and feel comfortable about leaving the other person out on a 9. So sorry about picking a 3rd receiver, but
I mean,
that
in a
helps the
perfect
Colts.
world, every year would be like the 2004 Colts receiving room, where we had Marvin, we had Reggie, and we had Brandon Stokely all get 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. In a perfect world, I'd love to see that happen. However, I hate to break it to you, this world is flawed.
I hate to break it to you, that's the only team that's ever done it.
It is.
There has been no other team in NFL history that's had 3,000-yard receivers and 10 touchdowns on the same team the same year. So that's a rarity. And if it happens again, we're like, what? But no,
if it happens in 2021, I'm not betting it's going to be the Colts. I'm going to be honest. But
yeah. I would kind of put it. You know what? That's for a different stream.
True.
That's for different. Joe Schmidt, thanks for being here. It says, hey y'all from Louisiana. Sorry about joining late. Daughter dropped by for a visit. Well, the only thing that you missed, I don't know if it was mind blowing. We was just talking about, the things that we were talking about. So it's not hard to go check it out. You just hit rewind on that little button there at the bottom.
Nothing wrong with visiting with your family. All right,
oh,
nothing wrong at all.
Absolutely. All right. Eli says, y'all the goats. I haven't eaten any aluminum cans lately. Bah. But thank you so much for the compliment. Nano says, do you have an IG, Lawrence? Once I get my custom jersey, I want to send you a pic of it. Yeah, I do have an IG. It's Colts Law. I think it's Colts _Law, or it might be SB Colts Law. I'm not 100% sure. Actually,
just follow all those.
Yeah, no, because people steal my stuff all the time. My Cash App, I had to rename it because someone stole Colts Law. Who the heck would have? I don't see anyone else in the world that would need that. I mean, that's just stupid. Someone just took it so I wouldn't have it. I'm thinking it's Colts Law 1. No, that's Twitch. My bad. See, I'm everywhere. I just haven't posted on Twitch in forever. IG, there it is. IG is Colts _Law. Yeah. All right.
There it is.
Very simple.
That's the official one.
The official one. Shoot, man, I accidentally clicked way over, and there's a lot of stuff that's been in here since I said drop it in the comments. Could the Colts Rams be in the big one? As asked by Anthony Hurt. Could we see Colts Rams in the Super Bowl? Loyalist? Is that something?
I would, yeah. I mean, I would love to say yes, but a lot of things would have to go right for our Colts, I think, to get into the Super Bowl. I mean, it's not off the record, like I've said in other videos. I feel like our window is just now opening, but a lot of things would have to go right. Injuries would have to be minimal. We would have to have people stepping up in most of those categories that we spoke of earlier. So I think that we are still a year away from really putting a conscious thought into the Super Bowl. But now LA, I think, is ready this year.
Lucas?
I agree. If there's a team of those two who's more likely to go to the Super Bowl, it's going to be the Rams. I absolutely love the Rams roster right now. I know that they're kind of saying, hey, the salary cap, that's just fiction. It doesn't exist. And eventually the bill will come due. but at this moment, they are gearing up and ready to win right now. And I love, love, love Matthew Stafford. He was one of my favorite non-Colts quarterbacks for years, and never quite lived up to his potential because of the environment around him. And now he has no excuses whatsoever not to live up to his potential, and I love it. But more relevant to our Colts, I agree. We are a year away from being able to confidently say, hey, we are now officially in our Super Bowl window. And a lot of stuff does have to swing right. But I feel very confident that if we can build upon this year, because Carson Wentz is essentially on a 2-year deal with his guaranteed money. After next season, or after 2022, he has no guaranteed money on the table, and we could cut him for nothing. Mm-hmm. Worst case scenario is that happens, but that's the reality of life here. So I personally think that year 2 is going to be absolutely huge for him to fully cement himself as, hey, you don't need to worry about any other quarterbacks. I'm the guy moving forward. This year is going to be him proving, hey, I can get back to what I was previously. And like last year was just an aberration. Next year is going to be proving that he is the long-term future.
In my opinion, the Colts season is a failure if they don't get to at least the divisional round. That's my thoughts. They should be further than what they was last season. Now, do I expect them to get to the Super Bowl? No. I think if they get to the divisional round or the AFC Championship, just getting to it, then I am satisfied with the season. I am perfectly satisfied with the divisional round or the championship game. I'm not expecting them to win. I still think that they still have a lot to prove to show that they're better than the Bills, that they're better than the Browns, that they're better than the Chiefs. I think they're the 4th best team in the NFL, or on the AFC side. I'm going to say that real quick. I'm going to get some arguments. There's going to be people out there with the Ravens. I don't think the Ravens are better than the Colts. I don't think the Steelers are better than the Colts. I don't think that the Chargers are better than the Colts, which a lot of people have the Chargers better than the Colts, which is kind of baffling to me, but okay. However, I have the Rams number 1 in the NFC, period. They're going to win the AFC, or they're going to win the NFC West, and they're going to get a first-round bye. I've got that locked in. I don't think that there's another team, unless Aaron Rodgers goes on another one of those freaking I'm going to prove all of you wrong runs like he had last year, which is a possibility because there's certain players you just don't want to tick off. Brady and Rodgers, both of them being those guys, right? I hate to say Brady on a Colts channel, but it is what it is. But yeah, I got the Rams quite possibly making the Super Bowl. It's all about Stafford and what he does in the playoffs. Goff couldn't do it. Stafford couldn't even get to the playoffs because of the team around him. And I think this is going to be an interesting season for both teams because we'll learn a lot about both teams and the quarterbacks of both teams. So very similar situations in that aspect. Swaggy says, unpopular opinion. He believes Luck would have had a better career than Manning had he not retired. Because you figure he'd have last year and this year with the teams that they had, I think is what Swaggy's trying to get with.
I think Luck always had the potential to even exceed Peyton. He had all the physical tools that you would want, even beyond what Peyton had, though he was just a little bit less polished, though very comparable as prospects. That was the upside, was Peyton with legs, pretty much. However, he never quite fulfilled that, mostly because of the support around him. Like, Peyton had a very, very talented offensive cast and some pretty decent defenses. Luck never had either, really. And especially protection-wise, he was truly hindered throughout his career because of the guys up front. So I think Luck could have been that guy, but that's one of the highest bars to clear right there, is being better than Peyton Manning. So there's the chance, yes, but at this point, it's all hypothetical. We have no idea, and it makes me sad to say that he might never do that. But there is one saving grace to Luck retiring early. It's that Titans fans can never say in their lifetime that they ever beat Andrew Luck, and I will always hold that in my heart.
Loyalist, your thoughts on that?
Oh, I hate thinking about it, to be honest with you. Well, I just can't get over how effective Peyton was. Just, I mean, seriously, like I've said before, just getting off the bus. He seemed like he was already light years ahead of he was attacking the defensive coordinators. He wasn't attacking whatever was going on the field. I mean, he was over here putting these guys in the tank for a week or 2 weeks if they had a bye the week before, and they still. I mean, you just, you have to get there. I mean, Peyton. If you look, I mean, some of the games that Peyton lost, or we lost, when Peyton was a quarterback was, I mean, I think Peyton would agree were more bad games by Peyton. I mean, it wasn't that the team wasn't ready; they just didn't perform to what with Andrew Luck, who knows? I mean, yes, I understand the mobility. I understand that he was very intellectual. But like I've said before, Peyton Manning had that killer instinct. And I don't know. I'm not saying that he didn't. I just don't know that Andrew Luck had that killer instinct, unless something miraculous like the comeback against the Chiefs in 14, I think it was. I mean, there you could see glimmers of it. But you didn't see a lot of that. I mean, he get crushed and nice job and stuff like that. Peyton Manning gets crushed. He's going to be sitting there putting his opinions to the offensive line or whoever didn't do their job. So I guess for me, that killer leave nothing unturned attitude, I think that got him over the precipice of being a Super Bowl champ.
Guys, we've been here over an hour. I'm willing to stay a little bit longer, but I don't know how Loyalist and Robin's thoughts on that is. Robbins, where were you sitting at? Do you need to go?
I have nowhere to go but up, my friend. I am willing to talk Colts all day long, so bring it on, my friend.
There's a whole bunch of people in the chat. There's questions galore, so I wanted to bring it up to you because you're the guest. So...
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Loyalist?
Oh, yeah. I invited all these guys, so I definitely stick around.
All right. Loyalist says he invited all of you to dinner tomorrow. You heard it here live.
Honey, set an extra plate.
Heat up.
Great question from Tim Rorden here in the chat. What's up, Tim? I hope I pronounced your last name right. If not, I apologize. What if Eric Fisher does not get back to his 2020 Pro Bowl form? And I added that because he was a Pro Bowler last year. Is our season in jeopardy? Now, I am going to answer that, but I'm curious to know these other two guys' takes about that. Loyalist? I see a bunch of answers in there in the chat, and I don't like one of them. But Loyalist, your thoughts?
I think that when you say he doesn't get to Pro Bowl form, where what level is he playing at? Because I believe with our Quentin Nelson, God of the guards, on the next to him, I feel like he elevates the entire. I don't know if anybody was on Twitter yesterday, but the Colts released this clips of Quentin when he was engaged and then peeling off and cleaning a few guys' clocks and stuff. I can just see Quentin covering up some of the bad stuff. And then you add in Carson with his added mobility that we didn't have last year. I don't see that, if he comes back and he's 80% of what he was, I think that's plenty good enough to be what the Colts need to accomplish any of the goals that they've set out. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously, yeah, you want him, and really the only way that he doesn't, in my eyes, achieve that Pro Bowl form is if he just doesn't recover from the Achilles, or if we rush him back too soon. So I guess, there again, how bad is that Achilles bothering him? Is it a constant pain? Does it reduce his mobility? I mean, that's a loaded question the way I see it. But as far as the replacements we have this year versus what we had last year, you know what I mean? I say that Ballard did the best with the situation that he could. And now it's just time to let the chips fall where they may.
Lucas.
Well, the bar for, I'd say, whether or not it would be disastrous would be, or at least a measuring stick, is how good is he compared to what Anthony Costanzo was last year. So if he is roughly the same, which previously his Pro Bowl form was just a hair above what Anthony Costanzo was, then if he gets to that level, then, we are golden. We are feeling great. But if he doesn't live up to that expectations like this question is inferring, and he's maybe even worse than what Costanzo is, then at the very least, I wouldn't say it puts our season in jeopardy, but would be a hindrance for that expectation of, hey, we're going to try and get to the second round of the playoffs this year. We're going to try and improve of it. It more feels like we'd be kind of either going a little bit laterally or maybe even like getting a little worse, because say what you will about Phillip Rivers and his lack of mobility, but he got the ball out very, very quick, which avoided a lot of pressure, a lot of hits, and a lot of sacks. Carson Wentz, he's got the mobility to be able to shake off the defenders, but he also just doesn't have as quick of a read on the defense and a quick of a release motion-wise. So hopefully we can fix that, of course, with a lot of this offseason, but will he get to that same level as Rivers? Probably not. So at that point, Carson Wentz is very, very inconsistent when he's going up against the rush. And if he's feeling that rush a lot more than Phillip Rivers was, then it is going to be hard to see the Colts improving from last year.
I want to put this on the table right here and right now. If Eric Fisher does not play a single snap next year, the Colts' offensive line is still better than what it was last year without Costanzo. Period. Because I'm telling you that the backups that Ballard has at tackle right now are that much better than the backups we had last year for Costanzo. And there's a reason he went out and did that. I was looking at some tape. Obviously, LaRaven Clark was just awful. All right. LaRaven Clark was just awful. Green was not much better. He was pretty bad too. All right. We picked up Davenport. We picked up Tebby. Both these guys have started in the NFL, started entire seasons for the NFL. May not have been the best seasons that you've ever seen, but they also haven't had guys like Quentin Nelson sitting beside them either. Right? So there's that also to look at. So even if Fisher does not take a snap, don't expect to see, our offensive line just all of a sudden take a crap. All right, that's now. There's even a possibility that whoever starts in place of Fisher plays really good because of the personnel around him. And Fisher may be able to take even a longer break and longer time to get better because of that. I'm not laying all my chips on that, but I'm just saying it's a possibility, right? Yeah, it is. Now, if by some oddball chance all of our left tackles look like crap next year, like all three of them just replace their jerseys and put LaRaven Clark's jersey on them. If all of them look like that, then our season's in jeopardy. But man, that's like a 0.0005% chance that I think that would happen. Okay, there has to be some injuries to multiple people. The one thing I don't want to see is Nelson go to left tackle. And I seen that in the chat where putting Pinter in at left guard and moving Nelson to left tackle. I get that. I understand that. Can Nelson play left tackle? Probably can. But you're taking a 10 out of 10 at left guard and putting him at left tackle, which may be a 7 of 10, right? We'll say a 7 of 10 is still really good, okay? But he's not going to be as good at tackle as he is as a guard because he's a bad man at guard. Penter's going to be a drop from 10. Penter's not going to be a 10 of 10 at guard. You'd be happy if he's a 6 of 10, which is above average, right? Above average
Penter,
guard.
I don't even think Penter would fill in. I think it'd be Reed.
Yeah, well, there's multiple people, But either way, you got, we went out and got Fries, who can play guard or tackle, So, you got multiple people that I think that they will exhaust every option at left tackle, I believe, before they think about, or before they make a move like that to putting Nelson at left tackle. Not think about, they've obviously thought about it. They got to think about every scenario, Oh no, we don't have any quarterbacks and all the wide receivers are hurt. Quentin Nelson's a quarterback. I'm sure they thought of all of it. And he had to, because Ballard learned that lesson his first season, right? He learned it his first season as a GM, and he said, you know what? I just learned I need to have backups. And he's, high quality backups. So I like the backups a lot more than what we had last year. So, but great question. I love the question. You guys see anything in here that you're interested in commenting on or answering? Well,
I've lost track where we're at.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's a lot of comments. You have a very active fan base on the comments, and I can appreciate that. Except when I'm scrolling looking for questions. That's the one time.
Dabney says,
I got one.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, wait, you go.
Yeah, okay. Can Pascal be number one? Because if I remember right, I think it was Schmidt that said that he believes, or who was it? I think it was Schmidt that said that Pascal will lead the team in touchdowns this year, which in and of itself is can be considered a hot take to a small degree, because I do believe that a lot of people, when we talk about the wide receivers, kind of Pascal doesn't be brought up. They when he does get brought up, they're like, well, he's a good receiver, but he's never brought up with the other three guys nearly as much. Do you believe that Pascal could be a number one receiver on an NFL team?
Well, it depends on the team. And I'd say he could lead the Colts in touchdowns as far as the three base statistics that we judge receivers on, which is catches, yards, and touchdowns. That's the most likely one that he could lead them in is touchdowns, in my opinion. So it's not the craziest hot take you can make with Pascal. But as far as him being the number one on a team, I'd say the only way that happens for the Colts is if all three of the guys ahead of him on the depth chart are injured, and for a pretty significant amount of time.
Kind of like in 2019.
Exactly. So that's the only way I can conceivably see that, because if even one of them is healthy, I see that guy as more likely to lead the team in targets than Pascal. But Pascal is not a bad receiver by any means. I think he is a very, very good wide receiver 4 on this team if everyone's healthy. Also a rock solid wide receiver 3. Good wide receiver 2, and then if he's the wide receiver 1, then you have some problems. Is how I'd see my evaluation of him. But who knows? He could take this next step and prove all of us wrong that, hey, sometimes the best talent comes from the most unlikely sources. But at this point, I'm not seeing that. And also with the touchdowns, if he led the team in that, I feel it's most likely going to be either Michael Pittman Jr., T.Y. Hilton, or a tight end, especially Alley Cox. Maybe you get Jack Doyle, of course, involved, or even Kylan Granson if he steps into a crazy big role because of injuries as well. And he has that move tight end that the Colts love to use a lot. So
because Carson Wentz loves his tight ends in the red zone. I mean, loves them.
So I can see in a scenario where Pascal does lead the Colts in touchdowns, but it's just far lower on the likelihood than a lot of other ones.
Loyalist.
Yeah. For me, I mean, if you're talking about for the Colts, I like you guys have both said, I don't see that he could be a number one unless things are going really bad. Now, if you're talking about for another team where maybe they're going through the transition, or like, when Ballard first came here, going through the rebuilding a roster or something, I think he'd be an excellent receiver to put in a very high volume situation just because he's so dependable and he does everything well. I mean, he's, for me, I don't see that he's extraordinary at any one thing other than maybe blocking and being a teammate. But as far as what you're talking about, the receiving and the speed, and I mean, he is really good at all areas. He just isn't excellent at any one of them to make him that hey, let's build a team around this guy type of receiver.
Okay. Brock Glazer, thank you so much for being here. Nice to see you in here. Angry Homie, what's up? He says, go Dolphins. Well, they're not in our division, but go Dolphins until the Colts play them. How's that? All my Patriots guys hate me right now. Brock Glazer, back to you. Blackman, Willis, top 5 safety duo this year? Could they be?
There's some really good safety duos out there, though, right now.
But top 5? Top 5?
Yeah.
I could see top 5.
Yeah,
Willis really improved. I think it depends upon Blackman.
Blackman, exactly. That's what I was getting ready to say. If Blackman takes a sizable leap and shows that consistency throughout the whole year, then I can think, then I can see us having a much more serious thought that that's possible. But like you said, right now, we've really seen 5 games of that level of play that you're going to need over a 17-game period. So for me personally, I would say top 10 comfortably. Top 5, I think that, like I said, Blackman would have to definitely take a sizable leap, and Willis would have to continue his progression.
Lucas?
Absolutely. I'd say they're in that top 10 discussion in terms of safety duos. The Blackman is, of course, the biggest X factor in that he has the higher potential as what we've seen on the field, though Willis is the rock solid, steady guy, the presence that we have seen year in, year out on this defense, and has had a lot of a more subtler, not as flashy improvement year to year. But at this point, I'd say both of them are going to be very, very complimentary of each other. We just need to see consistency from Blackman. And if Willis can take an even further step forward, then we have a very strong case to be a top 5 safety duo. It's a question mark. All right. I think also we have to focus a little bit on that depth of the safety class. We got the Sean Davises now to add to that depth in case someone goes down, which I think will be very valuable this season. And how can we mention our safeties without bringing up that we have an all-pro safety on special teams? We have an all-pro at safety in George Odom.
As a gunner on special teams, but yeah.
True.
Yeah.
So the depth is good, and I'm really excited to see that progression in the safeties and how we also use them, especially with more 3 safety looks. Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, when I was laughing about that, it had nothing to do with the fact that he was on special teams. I have utmost respect for what he does and what the special teams do. It's those guys that help the other teams, the offense and the defense win games. If it wasn't for them, the Colts wouldn't be in the situation that they are. There's a reason, for that. So, I know there's a lot of people out there that love special teams. I'm not trashing the special teams, okay? I'm just pointing out that he's all pro in special teams.
Mm-hmm.
For the Love of the Game podcast, I remember. Yes, I was and supported your channel on your channel when I didn't have to. I remember that. I do that a lot. I'll join other people's stuff from here and there if I see something going on. He says, I trust your analysis. I'm a fan of a different team, just here showing support and love since Lawrence came on and supported when he didn't have to. Official Right says, great to have you here. I think everybody feels that way. The great thing about my chat group, 99% of them are really cool fans, are very open and supportive of other people when they come in, you know, and they'll have an argument with you, I'm sure, you know, because we all are fans, and that means fanatics, but at the same time, we'll be respectful in that, you know. So, thanks for all you guys out here that follow me, all the subscribers that are so just kind of open with other people and other fans to other teams. We need Wentz to play with confidence, Warden says. Left tackle is really important for Wentz to improve. I think the most important thing for Wentz to improve is the 3 T's. Time to throw. From the point that ball is snapped to the point that ball is out of his hands, the shorter that time is, the better chance he has of succeeding. Okay? Now, obviously, that has a lot to do with his mechanics. That has a lot to do with the plays that are being called. That has a lot to do with his decision-making, getting through his progressions, things of that nature. But that is everything. You look at some of the least sacked quarterbacks in the NFL last year. Look at Tom Brady. Look at Phillip Rivers. Those guys can't move they don't move well in the pocket. They were 2 of the least sacked quarterbacks in the NFL. Why? Because they knew how to get rid of that football quickly. You know, whether they had a top 5 offensive line or not, didn't matter.
Yeah, and the least sacked quarterback per season in NFL history, he's not mobile, but he is very, very quick, is Peyton Manning.
Mm-hmm.
That is the bar that we want to see, is that quick release. Very high bar to exceed, and I don't think Wentz is going to get there ever, let alone in the first year. But if he can even approach getting the ball out quicker, then that is going to be absolutely huge. Like you're saying, has a huge impact on the game.
Rorden, another question. Yeah, does Easton have trade potential for 2022? Glazer says we keep him. You need a good backup. I second that motion. I'm just saying. I second that motion. I get that we have 2 young quarterbacks sitting behind Carson Wentz. And the thing is, we ain't seen either one of them play a snap of football in the NFL. Right? So I can't wait for training camp here in a couple weeks, you know, because I'll be able to see it then. And I will be bringing you the content from it. So I'm going to try to get the Colts to let me record some podcast material, not on the field, obviously, but maybe with it happening behind me or something, you know. That might be fun to do.
This is the first quarterback battle that you actually are happy to have.
Right. What was the question that you said that you saw earlier? I forgot that you said you found one and you was going to mention it. Or did you lose it?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, I see one. How much of an impact will the departure of Danico Autry and Anthony Walker have on this defense from Dabney Offermine? Now that's a really interesting question. Who wants to start off on that one?
We talked about that.
Oh, we did?
No. Well, when I say we, I mean me and Loyalist. 2 days ago, we had a stream about it. And it is an impact because they were both pretty solid in the run game, especially Anthony Walker. And then Anthony Walker was that guy that he was that everybody wants to talk about, Darius Leonard and being the spark, but really the captain of the defense was Anthony Walker Jr. He was the quarterback of that defense. He was able to read the offensive plays, sometimes know what happened before the snap even happens. It's a huge loss. It'll be interesting to see how the replacement of Bobby Okereke in his place, and then Darius Leonard reading and calling the plays out and getting everybody in set. The loss of Danico Autry, I don't think is going to be as big as what a lot of people think, because I believe that his replacement is going to be even better than what Autry was. And the reason I say that is because we have a second-round pick that I think really took some major steps last year. And
Danico.
No. He took Ben Bannick. Okay, Zach Hicks.
I just had to throw that one out there.
Yeah, okay. He took major steps to McDonald's while they were playing the football games, but because he was a healthy scratch. Taekwon Lewis. In all honesty, Taekwon Lewis, I think, is going to take that DE2 spot, and I think he's going to run away with it. I really have a lot of confidence. And I'm not saying that I feel like he's the guy that's going to be there on your first downs, your run downs, things of that nature. Obviously, he does bring some pass rush to him, but I think he's incredibly good against the run. And I think that is who I think will go in there. He's younger, and he's got a little bit more juice to him, I think, than what Autry had. I really like what I saw from Taekwon Lewis last year, and I think with even more snaps this coming season, he's just going to grow and become even better.
Yeah, I was doing some looking today, and there's two things I would like to see. Like you said, I agree. Taekwon definitely took a step up. But I think if he can be a little more disciplined, because there was a few times throughout the year where he'd lose the edge, and if you lose that edge, we all know how bad that can be. So I think if he can take a little leap and a little step forward and setting the edge, and then if he can get better with his hands, I think that's going to really help him on his pass rush. I see him, and for some reason, it was jumping out a lot that he has just like a couple moves that he was doing with his hands. And it was like once those were stopped, he was done. He was just, setting that spot. So I think if he can get a little more diverse with his rushing moves, and also, like I said, do what he knows to do and just get more discipline with staying that edge, even whenever he sees an opportunity. I think that Danico, even though it hurts that we lost those numbers, like you said, I think he is. But now Anthony Walker is the big question mark. Can Okereke, like we said earlier, can Okereke get better in the run defense? He's really good in the pass defense, but you see where he gets caught up in the wash sometimes and doesn't get off blocks and stuff, and that's a concern for me. But I also remember another linebacker that had a problem with that with Leonard. Remember the first year he came out, was like, "Oh, I'm getting tired of getting on these blocks and can't get off." So obviously he's got somebody standing right next to him that can teach him some other little tricks to make that all good. So the linebacker is more of a concern for me than the Danico, but I think both of them, and this may be the fan part of me, but I think both of them are going to be able to show enough that our run defense, like we said a couple days ago, won't take a massive hit.
Lucas?
Yeah, you guys talked about Taekwon Lewis a lot right there. You remember the first time I came onto your show, Lawrence, and Loyalist was there too, even before Loyalist was the official guest of Colts, or co-host of Colts Law. We were talking about the defensive line. I said Taekwon Lewis is my favorite defensive lineman for the Colts to break out this year. I'm staying firm with that. I believe a lot in Taekwon Lewis for a lot of the reasons you guys laid out too. You did a wonderful job on that front. He definitely fits that Danico Autry role to a T in terms of his inside-out versatility and his ability to a little bit help out in the run, but also get that first step quickness off the line. Of course, like you guys said, he needs to get the hands a little bit more consistent, learn a few more moves, which maybe a certain guy named Robert Mathis might help out. I don't know,
Or just more snaps, more opportunities to practice this stuff on other guys other than, Braden Smith.
Though Braden Smith is a very good guy to practice that on. He has really stepped up as a pass protector, especially last year. 0 sacks allowed.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Taekwon, I am very excited to see if he can take that next step. He was one of the most efficient pass rushers for the Colts last year on a per snap basis. And if he can maintain even close to that with this huge snap increase that we are expecting him from, he could have a chance to threaten for 10 sacks this year. Now, personally, I'd see it more as a 7 to 8 sacks kind of season for him, which is a very good step in the right direction. But I would be very, very happy to see that. And it's going to make a very interesting conversation for what are we going to do with him now that this is a contract year, because we have at least 3 other guys ahead of him in terms of the pecking order of re-signing from that 2018 draft class. So it's going to be fun to see. I really, really hope for the best that he can replace that Autry role. But in terms of the Anthony Walker role, it's going to be divvied up with Leonard in terms of the pre-snap role, and also with Okereke in terms of becoming the Mike. So I really like what we've seen from Okereke, and I think he has that potential, but I don't know if he'll ever get to that same level that Anthony Walker had in the run game. That is going to be more so determined by the third linebacker, or even who we put in as the third safety in some sets. So that's going to have a very big impact on them. Hopefully they can get more well-rounded with their run game, in particular Bobby Okereke, but it's just going to be a lot of interesting situational football for the Colts this season in terms of how they adjust their personnel.
Yep. Well, guys, it's been over an hour and a half. My wife just came up here and said, I'm hungry. So I guess we got to get off of here because my wife, I don't want to anger her. Okay.
Happy wife, happy life.
We might we might end up sitting here and I'll be talking. The next thing you know, I'll be like trying to say have a good one. It's just a nub because she ate my hand off. I don't want zombie wife. So I appreciate you, Lucas, for joining on here. Tell everybody again where they can find you, man.
Well, you guys can find me on Twitter at RobinsLucas. It is spelled exactly the way that you see below. You can also find me on Instagram at Lucas_Robbins. You can also find me as on thebluestable.com as one of their writers, and overall just interact with me a little bit, have a lot of laughs, have a lot of fun. And yeah, just enjoy some Colts football, hopefully.
I am going to answer one thing. Because Official Reich seems to be a little upset. I'm wondering about this. I'm assuming it's the Strawn question. He's really super high on him. I'm waiting to see because I don't know the guy very well, considering where he came from in college. Training camp. That's going to be a big thing for me with him, with Michael. Okay. But I just let you know that I there are lots of hopes. We have a lot of high hopes for a lot of people. But training camp, we're gonna get some answers for a lot of different people, a lot of unknowns. Loyalist, thanks for the topic, everything, man, because we had a great stream, over an hour and a half, man. So tell everybody where they can find you on Twitter and such.
All right. I'm Colts Colts Loyalist 56. And you guys can find me here as many times as Law wants to do it.
All right. Well, again, thank you all. Don't forget, smash that like button before you leave. Hit subscribe if you're not subscribed. Tag that notification bell so you are are notified next time I go live. And check out Newsbreak, please. And until next time, I'm Lawrence Owen. That's Colts Loyalist. That's Lucas Robbins. And as usual,